Amid rising tensions in U.S. China trade relations, the potential implementation of a staggering 145% tariff on Chinese goods by the Trump administration is raising alarms among American small businesses. The proposed tariffs aimed at curbing imports from the world's second-largest economy could have dire consequences for small enterprises that rely heavily on affordable Chinese products for their operations. Reports indicate that cargo shipments from China to the U.S. are already experiencing a significant decline, inching toward a standstill. This drop in trade reflects the growing uncertainty surrounding U.S. China negotiations, which have been marked by conflicting statements from officials on both sides. According to data from the Journal of Commerce, overall cargo volumes have decreased by nearly 30% compared to just a year ago, amplifying fears of shortages and price hikes across various sectors. Small business owners across the nation are particularly vulnerable to these changes. "There's no facility here that makes what we need," lamented a representative from a local manufacturing firm, underscoring the stark reality that many small businesses depend on Chinese suppliers for crucial components. The prospect of steep tariffs not only threatens to inflate costs but also risks pushing businesses toward insolvency, especially those operating on thin margins. In a recent statement, a spokesperson for the National Retail Federation expressed concern that such tariffs would further exacerbate the already challenging landscape for retailers. "We're looking at a potential retail wipeout if these tariffs go through. Small businesses may not survive the price volatility," the spokesperson warned. The retail sector, which hinges on stable pricing and reliable supply chains, could be irreversibly altered, forcing many to pass increased costs onto consumers or, worse, shutter their doors altogether. As the Biden administration continues to navigate this complex landscape, the impacts of the proposed tariffs are becoming increasingly apparent. The American economy is already grappling with inflationary pressures, and introducing such high tariffs could further strain consumer spending. Experts are predicting that if implemented, the tariffs will likely lead to a cascading effect of higher prices across a range of goods from electronics to apparel, ultimately hitting the middle class the hardest. In light of these developments, the urgency for clarity in U.S.-China trade talks has never been more critical. Both sides must work towards a resolution that alleviates the burden on American small businesses while addressing broader economic concerns. With negotiations ongoing, the outcomes remain uncertain, but one thing is clear: the stakes are high. And the American economy's resilience is being tested in unprecedented ways. As we look toward the future, the potential for a shift in trade policy could either pave the way for recovery or plunge the economy into deeper turmoil, making it imperative for stakeholders to remain vigilant and engaged in the process. In a significant move aimed at reshaping the academic landscape, China has approved 15 additional universities to establish new programs focused on ethnic studies specifically, designed to counter what the government perceives as Western biases. This initiative is part of a broader effort by the Chinese Communist Party to consolidate a unified national identity and narrative, particularly in the context of ethnic relations within the country. The State Council of China, the nation's cabinet, announced on April 26, 2025, that these universities will implement study programs centered around the concept of a community for the Chinese nation. This phrase was popularized by President Xi Jinping over a decade ago and reflects the government's commitment to promoting a cohesive national identity that transcends ethnic divisions. The newly approved institutions include some of the country's most prominent educational establishments, such as Renmin University of China in Beijing, Xinjiang University, and Southwest Minzu University in Sichuan Province. According to the state-run news agency Xinhua, this interdisciplinary field of study aims to blend various academic disciplines, including Marxist theory, philosophy, history, and sociology, to create a framework that challenges Western ethnological theories. Pan Yu, a leading figure in China's ethnic policy, emphasized the initiative's goal to use independent original Chinese theories to interpret China's history, its development path, and its civilization. This statement underscores the initiative's objective to foster a narrative that aligns more closely with the Communist Party's ideological perspectives. The expansion of this academic program is indicative of a broader trend within China to resist Western influences, especially in the realm of education and cultural discourse. Critics argue that this initiative may stifle academic freedom and discourage differing viewpoints, particularly those that challenge the official narrative of the state. Observers note that this move could further polarize academic discussions on ethnic issues as it seeks to eliminate perspectives deemed contrary to the party line. The implications of this initiative are far-reaching. As China continues to evolve its educational frameworks, the potential for increased ideological conformity within academia could hinder the development of a more nuanced understanding of its diverse ethnic groups. Moreover, this shift comes at a time when international discourse surrounding human rights and ethnic minority treatment in China is under intense scrutiny, particularly regarding the Uyghur population in Xinjiang. Looking ahead, the establishment of these programs is likely to provoke reactions both domestically and internationally. While the Chinese government aims to solidify its narrative and promote a sense of unity among its ethnic groups, critics will likely challenge the authenticity and inclusivity of this approach. As global dialogue continues to evolve, the impact of these academic initiatives will be closely monitored, particularly in how they influence China's engagement with the world and its portrayal of ethnic relations at home. In the ever-evolving landscape of global trade, the ongoing tensions between the United States and China have once again come to the forefront, stirring a mixture of apprehension and anticipation among international observers. As the two economic powerhouses grapple with tariff wars and shifting diplomatic dynamics, influential figures like hedge fund manager Bill Ackman have weighed in, suggesting that time may favor the U.S. while posing significant challenges for China. This perspective echoes the sentiments of many who see a fundamental imbalance in the current trade relations with implications that stretch far beyond mere economics. Ackman's remarks underscore a broader consensus that the U.S. holds a strategic advantage over China in the ongoing trade conflict. He stated time is the friend of the United States and the enemy of China, implying that while the U.S. can leverage its resources and adaptability, China may struggle to maintain its economic momentum amidst increasing pressures. This assertion comes at a time when the global economic landscape is fraught with uncertainty. As both nations navigate complex interdependencies and escalating tensions, China's response to the U.S.'s aggressive tariff policies has been one of resilience and resolve. In recent statements, Chinese leaders have emphasized their commitment to protecting national interests and upholding international trade standards. President Xi Jinping has been vocal about the futility of tariff wars, asserting that they yield no winners and only lead to self-isolation for those who engage in them. His administration's focus on self-reliance and strategic economic planning is aimed at mitigating the adverse effects of U.S. tariffs, which have sparked significant backlash domestically and internationally. Amidst this backdrop, recent economic data from China reveals a complex picture. The country reported a year-on-year GDP growth of 5.4% in the first quarter, bolstered by a notable 9.7% increase in high-tech manufacturing output. This performance signals a shift towards a more innovation-driven economy, which China is keen to promote as a countermeasure to external pressures. However, as the International Monetary Fund (IMF) cautions, the unpredictability of U.S. trade policies has introduced significant uncertainty into the global economic environment. In parallel, the U.S. domestic scene has been marked by increasing discontent regarding the federal government's tariff strategies. A coalition of small businesses has taken legal action against the government, claiming that the tariff impositions are unlawful and detrimental to economic stability. This domestic pushback highlights the growing unease about the ramifications of trade policies, suggesting that the very foundation of U.S. economic strength may be at risk if these tensions continue to escalate. China, on the other hand, has portrayed itself as a bulwark of stability in the face of international turbulence. Analysts suggest that the country's ability to maintain positive economic indicators amidst a trade war reflects its strategic foresight and adaptability. The Communist Party's recent meetings have focused on solidifying a growth pattern that prioritizes domestic demand and innovation, reinforcing the notion that China is not just weathering the storm but actively seeking to redefine its economic future. As the trade war continues, the impacts ripple through various sectors, including luxury goods, where brands find themselves ensnared in the crossfire. Recent viral videos from Chinese manufacturers have sparked controversy by claiming that many high-end European products are in fact produced in China. This revelation has prompted pushback from industry representatives who assert the value of craftsmanship and the authenticity of their products. The backlash illustrates the complexities of the current economic climate, where perception can be as impactful as reality. Looking ahead, the dynamics of U.S.-China relations are likely to remain fraught with challenges. As the two nations grapple with their respective economic strategies and the implications of their trade policies, the global community watches closely. The question remains, can China maintain its growth trajectory in the face of sustained pressure from the U.S., or will the shifting tides of diplomacy and economic policy usher in a new era of collaboration, or conversely further discord? As both countries navigate these uncertain waters, the outcomes will undoubtedly shape the future of global trade for years to come. In a striking development within the realm of military aviation, China has made headlines by deploying a significant aircraft carrier group, signaling a clear warning to the United States and its allies. This move comes amid rising tensions in the Asia-Pacific region, where military posturing has become increasingly common. The deployment is not merely a show of force, it represents a broader strategy by China to assert its dominance in the region, particularly as the nation ramps up production of its advanced stealth fighter, the J-20. The J-20, often dubbed the Mighty Dragon, is one of China's most formidable military assets. While it may not surpass the capabilities of the U.S. F-22 or F-35 in direct combat scenarios, its rapid production and deployment could soon tilt the balance of power. With production rates projected to reach 120 airframes per year by 2025, the J-20 could potentially outnumber its American counterparts in the coming years. The magnitude, scope and scale of this security challenge cannot be understated. All would be challenged, warned Navy Admiral John C. Aquilino, underscoring the gravity of China's military buildup. The surge in J-20 production stems from a concerted effort by China to invest heavily in its aerospace industry. The Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group, responsible for manufacturing the J-20, has optimized its production lines and integrated advanced manufacturing techniques. This acceleration in production is further bolstered by the development of indigenous engines, which have diminished China's reliance on foreign technology. The WS-10C and the upcoming WS-15 engines are pivotal for enhancing the J-20's performance while facilitating a more consistent production rhythm. China's military modernization is not limited to the J-20, it also includes the J-35 and J-36, which are poised to challenge U.S. air superiority. The introduction of these advanced aircraft, combined with a significant increase in the number of stealth fighters, poses a substantial threat to U.S. military capabilities in the region. The J-20's design allows for versatility in roles ranging from air-to-air combat to ground attack and reconnaissance, enhancing China's ability to project power and respond to various threats. The implications of this military expansion extend far beyond the confines of air combat. Smaller nations in the region, such as the Philippines and Taiwan, may find themselves under increased pressure from China's assertive military posture. The presence of a growing fleet of J-20s could significantly alter the strategic landscape, forcing neighboring countries to reconsider their defense policies and alliances. As China continues to assert its military prowess, the United States must grapple with the evolving dynamics of global power. The current trajectory suggests that China is on course to enhance its influence not only through military might but also by compelling neighboring countries to align more closely with its interests. This shift in influence could have far-reaching consequences for regional stability and international relations. In conclusion, as China deploys its aircraft carrier group and ramps up production of the J-20, the stakes in the Asia-Pacific region have never been higher. The U.S. and its allies must navigate this complex landscape, carefully balancing deterrence strategies with diplomatic efforts to prevent escalation. With the technological gap narrowing and production rates climbing, the coming years will be critical in determining the balance of power in the region. As both nations vie for supremacy in an increasingly competitive military arena. In a climate marked by rising tensions and fluctuating diplomatic relations, recent events between the United States and China have underscored the complexities of international trade discussions. The Chinese embassy in Washington has firmly refuted claims by U.S. President Donald Trump regarding ongoing tariff talks between the two nations, describing such assertions as purely misleading. This statement comes in the wake of Trump's repeated claims that he had communicated with Chinese President Xi Jinping about tariffs, raising questions about the authenticity and transparency of diplomatic engagements between the two powers. In a social media post, the embassy stressed China and the U.S. have not conducted consultations or negotiations on tariffs, let alone reached any agreement. This denial reflects a broader narrative of disconnection and miscommunication prevalent in U.S.-China relations, which have been characterized by a cycle of assertions and denials, particularly concerning trade. Simultaneously, Japan is navigating its own diplomatic landscape amid the rising tide of U.S. protectionism. Reports indicate that Hiroshi Moriyama, Secretary General of Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party (LDP), is set to visit Beijing following a recent trip by Komeito Party leader Tetsuo Saito. Analysts suggest that these engagements represent a strategic maneuver by Japan to expand its diplomatic flexibility in response to the challenges posed by American tariff policies. As both nations seek to bolster their economic standings, Japan's outreach to China could serve as a counterbalance to the pressures from Washington, reflecting a pragmatic approach to foreign policy. In a separate but related development, China's efforts to reshape its global image through soft power initiatives have gained traction, particularly through the influence of foreign digital personalities. A notable example occurred earlier this month when American YouTuber iShowSpeed visited China, captivating audiences with live broadcasts that showcased the country's advancements in technology and infrastructure. The event garnered significant attention on social media platforms, with topics related to his trip trending on Weibo and drawing millions of views. This strategy aligns with China's broader goal of enhancing its cultural influence and countering negative perceptions often fueled by international media narratives. As these developments unfold, the international community is left pondering the implications of the U.S.-China dynamic and Japan's positioning within it. The contrasting approaches, China's engagement with foreign influencers and Japan's diplomatic maneuvering, highlight the intricate web of relationships that define contemporary geopolitics. The effectiveness of these strategies will likely shape not only bilateral relations but also the global economic landscape moving forward. Looking ahead, the success of these diplomatic efforts may depend on how well each country navigates the complexities of international perception and economic interdependence. As nations grapple with the realities of protectionism, the importance of open dialogue and cultural exchange becomes increasingly evident. The evolving soft power strategies employed by China alongside Japan's attempts to balance its relationships with both the U.S. and China will play a critical role in determining the future of international cooperation and trade dynamics in an increasingly polarized world.